You know what? Let me give you my statistical analysis. There's a 100% chance that you're gonna be somebody's 10 years of this. You know what that is? That's a big black man on your You, too late. He done tagged the next guy in.
The AI is good.
That's like a rabbit. Oh, I like his hair. He's breathing on you. That's disgusting. You deserve everything you're getting. Good luck on survival, sir.
Cash, how much money did you spend defending yourself against illegal and immoral prosecutions by the Biden DOJ?
Oh man, I guess I got to go back and tabulate that, but that number was definitely high six figures, and you know, that was the price just for me. And you know, listen, at the end of the day, I probably had it light.
Yes.
So many people didn't, and I had support, and others didn't, and it was just a tragic way for Washington D.C. to utilize our Constitution unconstitutionally.
You were enemy number one, if I recall. Not trying to get nostalgic here, but if I recall, you were enemy number one after the first Trump administration. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely attacked. I still get attacked, and you know.
You're one of the first guys they dragged in, though, right?
Yeah,
You're one of the first guys. Yeah.
They didn't like the truth about Russiagate ever coming out, and then they didn't like they used that as their MO for basically every other operation they launched. And listen, you bravely reported the truth. President Trump led the mission for the truth, and the country just returned a mandate for the truth.
Yes, that's right. These son of bitches have to pay, though. Man, I mean, to reset the tables, people are going to have faith in their institutions. And they're going to have to see the rot evicted and pulled, literally ripped out, right? Like a cancer. Can you talk me through, obviously you have the president's ear, and you've probably been thinking about this for a while, Cash. What are some of the first big steps that must be taken?
Yeah, look, in my opinion, I mean, I've made them public before. They're in the book, Government Gangsters, in the movie. You know, that's like President Trump called it the roadmap for 2024, and now let's put it into work. You know, basically, in the way, and you might be surprised here, the way I view accountability is not to have a list of people and say, I want this person, that person, this person, that person. The way for me to view full-term accountability is to clear out the rot in Washington, utilizing the Constitution, and exposing the corruption so the American people can see, touch, and feel it themselves rather than be dictated to them what it is and might look like. So it's a multi-term thing. It's a multifaceted thing. One, you need great leadership at the agencies and departments in terms of personnel, but you also need to go 6, 8, 10 rungs down that ladder. You got to make sure everybody is rowing in the direction of the duly elected president of the United States and his agenda. If you can couple that with constitutional oversight, like actual righteous constitutional oversight, just to think about this, Benny, you can get out all the remaining documents that were blocked by those in Washington, D.C. You can get out new documents if you want more information on, say, JFK or whatever, right? Whatever is important to the American people. I've always advocated for a Truth and Transparency Commission to be stood up on a 24/7 basis to say, hey, this is what America's interested in. Have someone, you know, at the White House looking at that for the president and saying this is of great importance, this isn't, and then have the ability to go to the intelligence community and say, look, this is getting declassified, or at least almost all of it is, because the classification system is critically important. I'll be the first one to tell you that, but I'll also be the first one to tell you I've caught them using it to cover up government corruption. So for me, it's like a full, bigger project of using the Constitution to just clean out DC.
Now, as somebody who's obviously held some of the highest rankings inside the Pentagon, and you've handled thousands, if not tens of thousands of classified papers, how would the president is the person who has the right to classify or declassify? You've been on this program talking about this extensively. And so ultimately, it really does lie with President Trump and those around him who are advising him as to what we can learn and when, yes?
Yeah, so the president is the final arbiter and ultimate arbiter, I should say, of classification. There's a couple of other people that can do it, like the Director of National Intelligence and maybe one or two other folks who have that power vested to them either by the president or statute. But yes, at the end of the day, the president can be like, I want all that out the door. And it goes out the door. And you can sort of fold it into Elon Musk's Department of Government, the Doge project, whatever he calls it. And
Doge.
say, yeah, Doge. And say, look, you want government efficiency, Well, then
Really?
let's
He's calling it
expose the
Department of
inefficiencies
Doge?
of government for the American people to see. Like, how do we lose? Not spend and waste. How do we lose multiple billions of dollars in the Ukraine? We lost it. We didn't. It didn't light
No.
on fire. We
10%
physically can't
went to the
find
big
the
guy.
money. That's unacceptable. That's just one example. And then when we go back to DOJ and FBI, we still don't have all the lists, all the FISAs, all of the stuff they did to 275,000 Americans illegally in 1 year. Put that out there. I'm not saying put in the recipe on how to do it. We can keep the hood on the engine, but we can show the American people how they violated our rights. And to me, what you said is the most important: restoring trust.
Yes.
In our agencies and departments. That the way to do that is not to get a piñata and just punch them mercilessly and hoping for some bubble gum to pop out. The way to do that is to literally give the American people the truth. And that's what they feared about Donald Trump. He's going to come in there and maybe give him the Epstein list and maybe give him the P. Diddy list. You know, he's going to come up there and maybe do all these things, and they are terrifying.
Yeah, I believe that's part of the reason why Jimmy Kimmel was crying last night on his program. But also, I believe that this is something that the American public desperately want. And most importantly, this is how you restore honor and how you restore trust. Now, many may not know, some will, that you are personally responsible for the research on the Russiagate collusion. Everything we know about Russiagate, and we know maybe like less than half of what really happened with Russiagate, Kash Patel is the one who found it out with Devin Nunes. So, Kash, you have an excellent pedigree in rooting out the truth. Will we get the full Diddy list? Will we get Epstein? Will we get JFK? Will we get the rest of what happened with Russia collusion?
That's what I want. That's what I want as me as an American citizen. That's what I want in terms of achieving that restoration of respect for government in D.C. that's been gone for like 50, 60 years, right? I had said on the campaign trail when I was on the Team Trump bus tour or surrogate somewhere, I said, America has a chance to retire the dynastic families that have rained down corruption in Washington, D.C. on November 5th. You could have retired the Bushes, the Cheneys, the Clintons, and the Obamas. And you know what, Benny? For the first time, I get to say they did. And part of that mandate that they delivered to Donald Trump is simply they want the truth.
Yes.
And I don't know why it has been, well, I do know why, but I believe and hope President Trump is going to go in there and just be a vehicle, a conveyor belt for the truth, and just put it out nonstop. Agriculture department, education, labor, all of it, everywhere. And Congress is going to play such a critical role in these oversight investigations.
If we get
just think of what you can
Congress, I think
accomplish
they're
if you have a
cheating right
director or a secretary who actually works with the Republican chairman or chairwoman on.
Let's see. It hasn't changed since last night. How can the entire country count and be done, but these final little areas are taking days? 4 days? It's going to be definitely 5 days. At this rate, they're still a week out. I hope the Trump campaign has a lot of eyes on these areas, because I think they're trying to cheat. Anyway, let's go back. Oh, that's great. First podcast, and I went out of order.
Oversight. It's incredible, not just for corruption revelation purposes, but to see how we actually budget and stop lighting your money on fire.
So,
I started with the last one.
You hit the trail for President Trump. You were out. You were talking to these incredible grassroots groups all around the country. Your work was successful. You were victorious, and now we've entered the new American golden age. And perhaps this is why Nancy Pelosi looks like this. I wanted to get your take on this photo, because you would have better insight than most, since you were in the same Congress as Nancy Pelosi. Why does Nancy Pelosi look like this today? This photo was taken less than 12 hours ago.
Oh, you mean that's not CCPAI? Look, I think at the end of the day, the people that are making a lot of these emotional responses for public purposes and aren't actually real are the ones that are afraid that President Trump is going to reveal the corruption.
Yes.
that has
Barred
taken
from
over
freaking
Washington,
serving ever
D.C.
again?
And she's been there for like,
And
I don't
prosecuted.
know. You want to talk about corruption? How about all of your insider trading
Yes.
that you got away with? Let's just leave it at that. Forget the rest. Forget the rest. Just that alone. Why isn't America allowed to trade on the information you trade on and make millions?
I'm sorry, dude.
You know, her piggy bank
No,
is about
get her
to
for
be cracked open.
J6 too. And Liz Cheney.
I mean, Martha Stewart went to prison, federal prison, for insider trading. Why not Nancy Pelosi?
Exactly.
No, it's just, you know, what I think, and this is totally my opinion, the thing that pisses people off the most is hypocrisy. And the thing about Washington, D.C. is they have created two separate universes. One that they live in, and one that everybody else gets to live in. And they dictate over the other. And America's sick and tired of that two-tier version of whatever you want to call it, justice, intel, whatever it is. They're sick and tired of it. They're just like, hey, if I broke the law, I get arrested. If you broke the law, you should get arrested. You shouldn't get a get-out-of-jail-free pass. You shouldn't get a hall pass like Hillary Clinton did for everything related to Russiagate and the classified document scandal. I mean, that was a righteous violation of federal law.
Yep.
And America also looked at Donald Trump and said, wait a second, this guy, who whether you like him or not, he just got run up 4 times on indictments, and they gave Joe Biden a pass in the middle of an election season, and then DOJ saying, oh, we never get involved in elections. You literally did the opposite by manufacturing a case on Constitution against one client and giving one candidate and giving the other guy a total hall pass. America is fed up with that two-tier alternate sets of realities, and they're tired of being ridden by these overlords.
I must get, Cash, your takes on AG, on Secretary of Defense, on Homeland Security. I got to tell you, bro, like, Agriculture Secretary, Department of the Interior, that's fun. I look forward to it. I have a feeling those are going to be some of our best friends there. But the ones I will be focused on will be DHS, the Attorney General, and who's running our military. Those are the ones that this show will care about. So can you tell us, where is the status there? Who would you like to see? Do you have names that you like?
DOJ,
You know, I'm not
FBI,
gonna. I have
CIA.
names, but I'm not gonna, try to
Secret Service.
get out in front of my friends who I think would be brilliant in those positions. And I couldn't agree with you more that President Trump has this bench from the first administration on that he can install into these positions you're talking about. And I agree, the critically important roles of those national security posts and those chiefs of staff and everything. He's got some brilliant names to choose from. And if they get together and start rowing on the same team, we will literally see a golden age of America. And so right now, I just want to keep fighting if and where they ask me to fight, and help, just help the transition, help whatever I can, because, until the president decides otherwise, we're just here to put forward the best names until he makes a selection. And I think we're doing that.
What would you see as agenda item number 1 and 2 for this administration? Were you in a position to work on DOJ or to oversee some of the lawfare, obviously, that has persecuted you? What would you see as some of the first and second agenda items down the list?
I mean, depending on which agency and department you're talking about, if you're at DOD, you want to do a reformatting of the budget immediately, overnight.
Interesting. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, because they're the biggest pot, $800+ billion, and we got to re-examine. I would call in every single CEO of every single big defense contractor. I called them on day one when I was chief of staff at DOD. 4 of them called me back, 1 did not. And I would bring them in and say, look, you guys do a lot of great stuff, but I can't keep watching literally billion-dollar projects blow up out of the sky, and there be no repercussions. Unacceptable. I need you, and I also need to look internally at DOD, at the R&D process, to be like, why are we giving out all of this defense money to these contractors when so many of them, unfortunately, don't deliver on time or under budget or actually just fail outright? So that's DOD. When it comes to DOJ, FBI, man, we just need an AG and FBI director to go out there and say, we're just going to use the Constitution, whether you live in D.C. or Montana. It's not a hard task. And one of my recommendations would be, look, the folks at FBI headquarters, Hoover Building, there's like 8,000, 7,000, whatever the number is. I know CNN will be like, Cash said 7,000, there's only 6,800. But whatever the number is, I've always said this, close that building down and open it up the next day as the Museum of the Deep State. And let everybody walk the halls for free. and take the 50 people you actually need to run the FBI and move them to a basement, and take the rest of the cops, the agents, and send them across America to chase down sex slave traffickers, to chase down narco traffickers, to chase down terrorists and murderers and rapists and criminals. People keep asking me, how are we going to find all these illegals that President Trump wants to deport? Well, we have like 22,000 cops. It's a good start. Just half of them live in Washington. There's no need for things like that. When you go to the intel communities, you can take a similar focus. And I would say we need to start prioritizing intelligence collection methods, not on DEI, white rage, and climate change, but we need to focus on the threat of Iran, CCP, Russia, and terrorists, and returning our hostages. And we need to make sure our analytical community comes together and doesn't grossly, not digest, but misstate what the intelligence actually says to our leadership. That's the core of the problem for me. President Trump was failed, not just by DOJ and FBI. They were sort of more like the tip of the spear. He was failed at the core by the intelligence community and their analysts who bastardized the intelligence to change what it meant. And that led to everything from Russiagate to impeachment one with Charmella to the 51 intel letter, Hunter Biden's laptop. So you need someone operating the intelligence community to return it to what it's supposed to be doing. And those are just some things that hopefully will happen with the new bevy of leadership.
Christopher Wray, does he keep his job or no?
It's up to Trump. I would say, in my opinion, there's better folks for the president to have that job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about Hunter Biden and a pardon? Like, what do you think about that? I'm seeing that idea kind of bubble up. That that Donald Trump just like kind of shoves the past into the past and says we're done with that. We're looking to the future. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, if the president wants to do that, that's his complete and total right. He received that mandate from the American people. And he's led a campaign about unity and moving forward. And, if that's what needs to happen to do so, great. At the end of the day, we have we have accomplished the goal behind President Trump's leadership of exposing the corruption surrounding the Hunter Biden stuff. All of it, right? Everyone now knows. And so do we want to exact more blood out of that stone, or do we say maybe we want to go out and get the corrupt actors overseas that are looking to strike America's national defenses? We only have so many people and so much manpower to do all these things. And if you lift a set of people off one, then they can't do the other. And so I'm all about priorities. Priorities. And to me, it's the defense of this country. And right now, here's the scary thing, Benny. Our enemies, our actual enemies, are going to use these next 2 months to the max because they did not want Trump in. And now we have been left open. And I don't know what Biden's announced. He's going on some world tour. That's not what he should be doing, in my opinion. He should be buckling down and preparing the transition like the one I led for President Trump at DOD, so that when we do that handoff, we are ready for the no-fail mission to continue. But that's what I'm focused on, what they're doing, and then what the Biden-Harris administration is going to do to actually let President Trump transition.
Very quickly, Cash, I can't move from this interview without asking about Juan Merchan this morning saying, I think I'm going to drop these charges. Jack Smith has been sent to a post in Alaska. He's done. The DOJ now winding down all those prosecutions. I mean, man, brother, you have been on this program speaking the truth for years about what they're doing with political prosecutions to Donald Trump. Can you talk to me about the landscape as it stands right now? It's all doomed, I think.
Well, it's constitutionally doomed. Yes. There is an actual principle at the Department of Justice that has been followed for like 100 years. The DOJ cannot prosecute and investigate a sitting president. And it's not because Kash Patel said so. It's because it's been adjudicated to be a violation of the separation of powers, which is a constitutional bedrock principle, which prohibits the executive branch from attacking its own White House commander-in-chief. And the DOJ has had that policy on the books for, I think, like 100 years, but maybe 50. So those federal things should end. And similarly, in state court, when you have folks like Letitia James coming up to the podium yesterday and saying one of the most dangerous things I've ever heard in my life as a former national security prosecutor, we are going to use the law, we're going to use law enforcement to go on the attack. I can't believe I heard that come out of her mouth.
I hope she's in prison within the first 90 days.
For those similar reasons. And all of Juan Merchan and all these other cases should be dropped because America said Donald Trump is going to be our next president. We want him there free and clear of any of these things. And oh, by the way, there's that thing in the Constitution that prevents all that.
Should they be investigated themselves for collusion
Yes.
with the White House?
Here, look, you know what? If and when there's time, I got bigger things I would like to see happen.
No.
I want to make sure that folks like that never get back to Washington, D.C. because we fix the agencies and departments. If there's time on the back end and that's what the president wants, fine, sure, maybe. But for me, making sure that a DOJ never reverts back to this form, and it's not just the last 4 years. We're talking 40,
No,
50
I
years,
disagree
right?
with you there,
That's
buddy.
the win for the American people. Building in a constitutional basis
Yes,
there of
but you
people
still have
that
to-
will
they
never
have
let
to
that
pay.
happen again. That's Donald Trump's legacy to the American people. Not just I fixed it for 4 years. I fixed it for the next century. That's the win.
Cash, we deeply, deeply look forward to watching you play out the principles in your book, Government Gangsters. Here's Cash.
No change.
Hello?
Hey, Kamala, it's Obama.
Oh, hey, Obama. How's it going?
I've been better.
Yeah, me too.
Boy, that was some election, huh?
Yeah, we almost won, too. If only I had just a little bit more money to pay a few more celebrities to endorse me.
Yeah, about the money.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, you're missing $20 million.
I am?
Yeah, and I'm gonna need that back as soon as possible.
I thought I got to keep the money, you know, for all the hard work and everything.
Oh, don't be silly. I've got to give that money back to all the different countries I borrowed it from. Running for president in my basement with
No
sweats
shit.
on is pretty expensive.
Oh, hang on. I'll get another call. Hello? Hey, Kamala. It's Nancy. Hey, girl. So, I'm going over the books here, and, it looks like your campaign is short $20 million. Yeah, Obama's on the other line asking for the money, too. Well, don't give it to him. Give it to me. I'll hook you up with some good stock tips. Hang on. I got another call. Hello? Hey, Kamala, it's me. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Well, I'd be doing a lot better if I had the missing $20 million from your campaign. Hey, can I call you back? All right, Obama, I'm back.
Damn it, Michelle, how many times do I have to tell you? Put the seat down after you pee.
Obama?
Oh, sorry about that. Michelle left the damn toilet seat up again.
Oh, I hate when Dougie does that.
Big Mike.
Women, right? So anyways, you're looking at around $20 million. Would you like to make a payment today? Must be cash or charge. Kamala?
The
Kamala?
number you have dialed is not
Kamala, you there?
Please check the number and try again.
Yep. Yep.
For just a moment, I want to focus on what I think is a huge concern, and that huge concern is those that came here illegally. So I'm going to tell you one story about one of our suspects, Maria, and that's not her real name. She's from Venezuela. She made a conscious decision to come to this country to commit crime. She flew into Mexico from Venezuela. She walked across from Juarez, Mexico, into El Paso, Texas, with her one-year-old child, where she was greeted by the Border Patrol. Did you hear what I said? She was greeted by the Border Patrol. There was no sneaking. She flew in, she got here, she simply walked across the open border. There is no border security at the southern border. Zero. It doesn't exist. So when she was greeted, and you'll understand why we use that term in a minute, you'll understand that she went to the Border Patrol processing, where in one day she completed the processing and was released to a facility, a holding facility, a housing facility for immigrants. She said, I was given a DNA test to make sure that my DNA matched my child's. He was given a DEA test to make sure he was really my child. She said, once that occurred, they set me down and they told me all about the benefits that I would get in the United States. She said I was eligible and I had to fill out these forms so that I could get those benefits. She said, so I fill forms out for Medicaid, for SNAP, which is money for food. She said I was given free travel from the border to Chicago. When I got to Chicago, I couldn't find gainful employment there, so I thought, what the heck? I'll go to Florida. And then I got to fly to Florida. She was giving free housing. All because the United States paid for that. That's right, you, the taxpayers, got to pay for that.
That is bullshit.
So this was all
Times
simply
at least
walking
15
across
million.
the border. She said it was unbelievable to me. But let me read her quote.
And we don't have
Because
money for the
understand,
hurricane
she
victims.
walked across the border. This was not a stealthful act. And then they gave her free travel, free housing, free food, free medical care. All why people from the hurricane are still waiting for help. Let me read in English, and then we're going to play the video clip she agreed to do if we'd use another name. When I passed through immigration, they sat me down and explained to me all the benefits I was eligible for. I was told I could apply for government assistance. I could apply for health medical insurance for my son, and I could apply for food assistance. After I finished talking to immigration, a short time passed until a DNA test was done on me and my son to prove that he was my son. Then they set me down with other people who were also waiting and had already qualified to be released. Then they explained to us that the documents we had in our hands were our personal identification in the United States, and we could use the documents to travel on buses and airplanes. They also explained to us that we could use those documents to apply for our documents to become legal here.
No.
And after that, they explained all of the benefits, they said, "Welcome to the United States of North America." And from there, they transported us to a refugee camp.
Bullshit.
And all of this occurred in one day. So welcome to the United States. This is someone who just crossed the border illegally. And they were not only welcome to the United States, but then they were giving all kinds of benefits at the cost of the taxpayer. So let's listen to her in her words, and then we'll move on from there to other topics.
You know, and I've always been against using babies as anchors to become a citizen. I think that needs to be overturned. If the first thing that you do is enter the country illegally, break our first law, then no. I mean, you have to go back and do it legally. In fact, if you come in illegally, I don't think you should be able to come back. I mean, you're obviously the type that we don't want anyway. But it's something else. Here, let's get a. How long is this? Let's get a
The
little
reason
while.
education sucks. Now, there's one thing you might have noticed I don't complain about. Politicians.
I love George
Everybody complains
Who
about
the hell is this
politicians.
time?
Everybody says they suck. Yeah. Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out. If you have selfish, ignorant citizens, you're going to get selfish, ignorant leaders. And term limits ain't going to do you any good. You're just going to wind up with a brand new bunch of selfish, ignorant Americans. So maybe it's not the politicians who suck. Maybe something else sucks around here. Like the public. Yeah, the public sucks. There's a nice campaign slogan for somebody. The public sucks. Fuck hope. Fuck hope. Because if it's really just the fault of these politicians, then where are all the other bright people of conscience? Where are all the bright, honest, intelligent Americans ready to step in and save the nation
Trump,
and lead the way?
Elon,
We don't have people
RFK,
like that
you
in
got
this
a bunch
country.
now.
Everybody's at the mall, scratching his ass, picking his nose, taking his credit card out of his fanny pack and buying a pair of sneakers with lights in them. So I have solved this little political dilemma for myself in a very simple way. On election day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. Fuck them. I don't vote. Two reasons I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote and you elect dishonest, incompetent people and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand, who did not vote, who in fact did not even leave the house on election day, am in no way responsible for what these people have done and have every right to complain as loud as I want about the mess you created that I had nothing to do with. So I know that a little later on this year you're going to have another one of those really swell presidential elections that you like so much. You'll enjoy yourselves. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as the election is over, your country will improve immediately. As for me, I'll be home on that day doing essentially the same thing as you. The only difference is when I get finished masturbating, I'm going to have a little something to show for it, folks. Thank you very much. But if you talk to one...
Another issue that highlighted the incompetency of Joe Biden was hurricane relief and FEMA's reaction, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Joe Biden was in charge, but Kamala Harris was running, and there was a really... there was an avoidance of wanting to talk about how significant the impact is on so many communities based on two hurricanes. Now, according to the Daily Wire, this is a staggering story. FEMA officials, so, you know, which should be helping everybody, directed hurricane relief workers in Florida to avoid certain homes that had Trump signs in their lawn.
Oh my
here's
God.
the report according to the Daily Wire. A FEMA supervisor told workers in a message to avoid homes advertising Trump as they canvass Lake Placid, Florida to identify residents who could qualify for federal aid. Internal messages viewed by the Daily Wire reveal. The supervisor, Marnie Washington.
Tell me every Democrat should not be pulled from any type of public position. I'm telling you.
Relayed this message both verbally and in group chat used by the relief team. Multiple government employees told the Daily Wire. So now hurricane relief also politicized.
Yeah,
We
no
knew
question.
that already.
And by the way, there was already outrage that so many FEMA funds had been raided to give to illegal immigrants. And so obviously people are saying we gotta take the politics out of something as essential as emergency relief. I mean, this is insane. And by the way, the FEMA spokesperson has a statement. FEMA helps all survivors regardless of their political preference or
You're
affiliation,
supposed to.
and we are deeply disturbed by this employee's actions.
Not
While
when
we
you have
believe
a
this is an
corrupt
isolated
administration.
incident, we've taken measures to remove the employee from their role and are investigating the matter to prevent this from happening ever again. The employee who issued this guidance had no authority and was given no direction from anyone to tell teams to avoid these homes. And we are reaching out to the people who have not been reached as a result of this incident. Will, I mean, I'm surprised
Damage
that
done. Prosecute.
you see lots of agencies getting politicized. This is one you really wouldn't expect.
Well, it's not just, to me, it's my focus is less on FEMA and more, I would imagine this is the case in every government agency, and what it does is show the depth of the cancer inside of our government, and that you have to root out politicization at the highest levels, for example, of the DOJ, but you have to also understand there's a bureaucracy under every one of these state departments where you have, you know, foot soldiers who behave in the same manner as Merrick Garland. And in order to really reform the bureaucracy, I actually think you're going to need, like Elon Musk walking through the lobbies of Washington, D.C. with a sink in his hands. He's going to have to sit there with the Department of Government Efficiency and cut it down to the size you could drown it in a bathtub. Otherwise, this is where we are now.
That's the challenge. That, to me, is one of the most interesting things about how this will play out. So Elon Musk fired 90% of Twitter, turned it into X because he had to change the culture.
Good.
It doesn't work that way with government. It just,
Oh,
wish it
no,
could.
it can.
I remember
Well,
what
you
we did with the
can't. You
department.
can't. You can though.
You can. You just have to do it on a certain process, and you got to be dedicated to doing it and demonstrating how to do it.
Well, the first thing
Look
we have
at
to do
Argentina.
is take out the unionization of federal employees so that they're fireable. And I
Planned
also heard
Parenthood,
that,
for
and by the way,
one.
Vivek,
That is a massive task. We did that at the VA when we were running out. And just the,
God, that has always pissed me off that my tax dollars are being used to pay for birth control and everything for other people. You spread your legs, pay the consequences.
VA, and they refuse to use it inside the VA. So the government bureaucracy then fights back and says, okay, we have this tool, but we're not going to use it. And they certainly don't. I mean, it's the fight worth having. That is the fight to have.
it is the most important fight. And the other,
I would be equally pessimistic just because based upon our history and the size of this thing. I think the only thing that gives me some inspiration, well, there's two things. One, the involvement of Elon Musk. I think that is incredibly big. And second is to see some model of it in Argentina with Javier Milei. I mean, he has actually cut down government when it's hard to find an example on the world stage. There is actually one in Argentina.
Yeah, and they have seen, by the way, a decrease in their inflation rates, like at this astounding rate, just since he took office. So these things can be turned around. The other thing that Donald Trump said just this week, I believe, he said, we're going to move some of these agencies to other states. That's a really amazing way to make sure that it's not just these really liberal DC suburb kind of people that are,
96%
populating
Democrat.
the bureaucracy. Get it out, decentralize, make sure that these agencies are representative of the people, and I think that would help to get them depoliticized. It's an amazing idea.
Love that.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Consequences matter. Both sides, just a facade.
Look at that, real American woman.
Pretenses ain't nothing but a game. MAGA, baby, that's the only way. Fake news, they twist the facts around, but we see right through. No side is sound, taking a stand. We won't be led astray. MAGA, baby,
You go get them, Trump.
that's the only way. Fake news, they twist the facts around, but we see right through. No side is sound, taking a stand. We won't be led astray. MAGA, baby, that's the only way. Dollars down, spirits high. We're laughing though our wallets cry. Economics in disarray. MAGA, baby, we'll find a way. Woke culture's not a sin of mine, but common sense ain't hard to find. We'll chart a course, come what may. MAGA, baby, leads the way. MAGA, baby, let's make it loud and clear. Together we rise, no need to fear. United we stand, stronger every day. MAGA, baby, that's the only way.
Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson, and I am so excited to bring you the news as the wins keep coming in. This is one of the biggest wins, one I've really been looking forward to. Do me a favor, smash that like and subscribe if you're new. But look, Letitia James, public enemy #1, is scared. And if you don't believe she's
Better be.
scared, you watch this first clip I dropped, but this is going to build into one of the greatest things you ever see. So stick with this one to the end.
We did not expect this result, but we are prepared to respond to this result.
You can respond to shit.
And my office has been preparing for several months because we've been here before. We faced this challenge before, and we used the rule of law to fight back. And we are prepared to fight back once
You ain't gonna
again.
do shit, bitch.
Because as the Attorney General of this great state, it is my job to protect and defend the rights of New Yorkers and the rule of law.
That's by getting you out of office.
And I will not shrink from that responsibility.
Did you guys just see that? She literally had dry throat. Her pauses are long. Watch her eyes. Go back and watch this clip again. She is literally scared, folks.
Damn well
Because
better
she
be.
thought that with everything going on, the DOJ and Jack Smith, with Vonnie Willis down in Georgia, with her case, with E. Jean Carroll, with all the lawsuits and the absolute lawfare that they brought against Donald Trump, that they would be able to finish him off. But now he's president-elect. And she knows that justice is coming. And why is justice coming? I'm going to give you a little bit of throwback video, and then you're going to hear from President Trump's attorney.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake. I believe that the president of these United States can be indicted for criminal offenses.
You want to see if racism still exists in America? Right there. You're going to find it on the Democratic side. Every goddamn time.
I assume we're going to be a real pain in the He's going to know my name personally.
That man in the White House who can't go a day without threatening our fundamental rights.
Yes, we need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses. We need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money. We need to find out whether or not he's engaged in conspiracy. It's important that everyone understands that the days of Donald Trump are coming to an end.
I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
She looks forward to suing him every day. She said this. She's on record, folks. Then there was the too male, too pale, too stale. She's a racist on top of it. But did you notice the difference, too, between her body language in those clips and the previous clip? Because, see, when he was former President Donald Trump, and they thought they had the goods on him, and they thought they could take him down, they were much more confident. You see how she spoke with power and authority, but now she's getting dry-mouthed and having trouble getting through it. And, folks, justice is coming, and you have to wonder how Letitia James, on her salary of $220,000 a year, okay, was only worth $150,000 in 2010, and now she's worth $14 or $15 million. Something's going on there. Maybe she got in on Nancy Pelosi's stock trades. But people, this is the greatest clip you're going to watch all day. This is Trump's attorney, Mike Davis, and he is on fire.
This to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights, and I promise you that. So
do it anyway.
Think long and
What she
hard
already
before
did.
you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike. This isn't the same Trump administration. Stop messing around. Don't rig elections. Don't illegally vote. Don't try the funny business, because we know the team this time, and they are not effing around.
Folks, that's what we need. We need more of this because we need justice. We need justice for these people who are willing to abuse the justice system, to go after a man and his family when there wasn't even a crime committed because there was no victim. And they didn't think he was going to win. And if you want further proof, check this clip out of Jimmy Kimmel.
Fragile little snowflake. What a blowhard. He's a blowhard and a snowflake. He's a blowflake is what he is.
No, you're the blowflake.
He should change the hats to say, "Make America Wine Again."
Look at
More
this
than
shit.
half of this country voted for the criminal, still trying to figure out what happened.
Look at that. Look at him
Now you're
cry.
left
He's on the freaking Epstein list, or the Diddy list, or both.
to wonder, was Jimmy on the Diddy list?
Yeah.
Or why is he crying so bad? But folks, this is a new day in America. Let's hope that Trump
He
gets
is
all the
going
right
to be
appointments,
getting
that
his
things go. But see,
fudge
these last 4 years, folks, they were grace. They were God's grace, because if we hadn't gone through these last 4 years, we would not fully understand just how bad it is, and neither would Trump. Do me a favor, check out MyPillow, mypillow.com/lumberjack.
All right. So that's the podcast for today. Let's look at the house, and of course nothing's changed. Let's do a reload just to make sure. Look at this. We definitely need to keep an eye on these. I've been looking at them over the last couple of days, and the Republicans were well ahead. This was like 197 to 211. They are slowly catching up, and I have no confidence in them. I really, really hope that the Trump campaign, GOP, is really watching this close. And all of you need to watch this too. If we lose the House, I mean, they cheat, we lose the House. You saw how long, Carrie Lake never got to be governor. And I believe she won. I believe Hobbs stole it. If they get the White House, if they get the House of Representatives, Congress, Trump will be locked down for 2 to 4 years. It could be 2 years, midterms, if we can get it back, then he might be able to do some stuff. But that's the purse. That's the money. He won't be able to do anything. Mass deportations, can't do it. Congress isn't going to give us money. Right? They may be corrupt, but they're not stupid. And there is something going on with these not being counted yet. So, all right. If you watch this, thank you for watching my first podcast. I'll try another one tomorrow.